There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of Savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to words of Professor Buitron.
Back at you on Monday, and this is a question that was brought up. Are we still training? Got an email from a student that saw some of the pictures of the passage of God from last week and saw one of the videos on YouTube. He said, and he called me up and he told me, are we still training? Of course we are. We have always been. When Governor Abbott told us we can open up our school with social distancing, we did that. We advised everybody. Many people didn't come back. They didn't come back because they were afraid. You know, granted, so some people are afraid of the pandemic. Some people were afraid of training. Some people were afraid of the mandates that were going out. Some people were afraid of what others would say about them going out of their house. Listen, martial arts, Savate, and all the rest of the martial arts, it teaches people not to fear. That's what it's building into you. You have to be cautious all the time. We had to change our positioning. We could not work at a large capacity. We had to work at a lower capacity, but we're still teaching time. 2 years have gone by. This person still asks, were you teaching? Are you all teaching at the school? Yes, we've been doing that. Everybody got an email, everybody got a text. He goes, oh, you're not going to be doing online classes? You have any videos? Folks, we have over 160 videos of content on our page. 160. I want 1,060 videos of content. 1,060, imagine that. That's what it is. That was the last milestone we got. We've been, the last couple of years, we've been putting in material. We've been fixing the YouTube channel for people that are out there, can see it, can train, old students, folks that are interested, everybody that's out there. But let me tell you something about the pandemic. Many stopped coming to the schools. Many martial art schools actually closed down. They're no longer open. But those schools that continued and maintained and were teaching under the regulations and the guidelines and continued teaching a small set of group and making them better in both technique and everything else were above the rest. That's what happened with my students. I got students right now that moved up in rank. Why? Because they were there constantly training. We had a gentleman that came in and said, how come he's that rank? And I was that rank 3 years ago before the pandemic. Well, have you come and trained? The pandemic made a lot of people lazy. People stopped training. People wanted to go see videos, wanted to see online courses. We tried that. We tried the Zoom classes for people to be out there. We had a group of 30, 40 per class, 60 per class. All of a sudden you go up on the Zoom, there'll be 3 people watching because the rest of them were out doing groceries, were out visiting their grandmother, were out at church, were out everywhere else but in class. They couldn't make it to class, yet they'll complain. There's a lot of martial arts schools that didn't make it because they could not adapt. So we started putting out free information, free videos. There's a whole slew of COVID techniques for people to practice at home. It's a whole playlist on that. You know, there's a lot of content in there. This is our 99th Monday, consecutive Monday to answer questions. Our 100th is going to be pretty good because we're answering a question that's been lingering for a while. So I want you all to watch that. If you guys want to learn the curriculum, we have it under buy me a coffee at Buitron Academy. The link's there at the bottom of the page. In the description, you can go there and link onto it. There's different formats. You can be part of the crew. You can be part of the inner circle. You know, and you want to be for green, be part of the crew. Inner circle, red, white, yellow above. It's different because people that stopped training lost what they had gained and they have to regain it again. Understand that? After a while, you can go back to just training 2 times a week. But if you train every day, you're going to get very, very good at it. Understand? My school is open every day. You know, we teach every day. People can come every day. We have, for those that are outside Laredo that come in from San Antonio, Austin, and whichever here in Texas, they're about two hours away from us. We teach on every second Sunday and every fourth Sunday from 12 to 3:30. We used to do seminars all over the United States and abroad in other countries as well. Pandemic stopped us. This year, we're already filling up our calendar to start going to the different areas to start teaching. But everything's more expensive. People say, why is it that much expensive? Plane tickets have gone up. Gas is going up tremendously. Hotels are outrageous. All that costs. So when we have a seminar like in Dallas or Chicago or some of the ones that are coming up, Denver, I know California, that we're trying to book some California. We have several scheduled for Brazil at the end of the year. We have 2 in Mexico coming up. And I know that we're going to be doing one in Europe, that we're going to be doing several countries. And we're going to be out there for 3 weeks. We're going to be doing several countries of Dance Through Savate. We're going to do France, of course. We're going to do Italy. But we're planning that. Okay, that's probably going to be early next year, early spring of next year. So we're always moving forward. But you have to train. Those that got lazy and didn't train during the pandemic and they're coming down now, we're in the post-pandemic and they're coming back to school and realizing that we were still training once the governor was there, lost a lot. Okay, believe me, we've always been here. So that goes along with also with those that have classes as well. If you close your class, you still have to pay rent. I know several that lost their livelihood because they still had to pay their overhead. Remember that. Things have changed now. Now clubs are having pandemic clauses on their contracts. If you're a martial art school and you have a martial art school and you do not have a contract, you're doing something wrong. I'm going to tell you why. Because one day everybody just leaves you and you get stuck with everything. You're going to get stuck with a bill. And that bill is going to break you and you're going to hate martial arts for everything. Martial arts is for us to have fun and for us to give back to the community. And that obligation, the students that are coming in should have that obligation if they're serious enough to train. And many people aren't. So with that said, we had an excellent 30-second passage of grade. We've been working very hard at the school. We have a lot of things going on that we're going to be changing. And we also have a lot of events coming of age, a lot of content that we're creating. Everything better fit you. Our 100th edition will be our last edition for Monday questions. And we're going to change it off for a little bit else because people are asking about certain things. We're going to be doing a lot more techniques. Maybe we bring back tips of the week or tip of the day or something to that effect. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming in. Okay, if you guys have any questions, email me, buitronacademy2012@gmail.com. Once more, be safe, stay calm, be collective. Peace.
My name is Garrick West. I'm Coach Tejon in the International Guild of Dance Guru Savate. I first met Professor Buitrón back in 1992. I just gotten my black belt in Kempo from Dick Bowden in Fort Worth, Texas. And Dick had decided to retire and he didn't want to teach anymore. And I wanted to learn a little more about kicking. And some of Dick's other students had learned a lot of Taekwondo and I hadn't done that. And so I started looking for someone who could teach me more about kicking. And at the North Texas Martial Arts in Arlington, Professor Buitrón had just returned from France and was teaching Savate. And I have always been an avid reader of martial arts and student of different styles and things. And I went over to check it out and was very impressed. And so I started studying with Professor Buitrón. Back then, we were mostly doing boxe française. It was basically what I needed was just basic kicks, all the different kicks in Savate. I was working at an airline at that time, and I'd injured my back and had to quit for a while. And so I had a previous background in Chinese Shuaijiao and Kempo, ninjutsu, and some other arts. But I laid off for 4 or 5 years, and my training partner was Clyde Castorena, our initiador Neil guy in the guild. And I was talking to him, and I'd realized that Professor Buitrón had started. He had moved the SAL to another location in Irving, Texas, so I decided to talk Neil Guy into going over there. And it's very interesting that the art had become much more combative. It had become much more street-oriented at that time. And it was very interesting. And Professor Neil Guy, or not, I'm sorry, Initiator Neil Guy was very interested in the art. And he and I would practice at my house. I still was having health problems and couldn't work out as much as I would like to, but the art today is even more different than it was back in the late 90s. The professor has introduced his family style of Zapata into the guild. And of all the arts I've studied, Zapata is the most effective, efficient martial art that I've ever studied. I think it's suitable for old, injured, women, men, small people, large people. It's very effective, and I think it's probably the best street-oriented martial art available for anyone to study in the world today. I think it's better than any of the arts I've seen from Southeast Asia, China, Japan, or any other part of Europe. Savate is kind of become a lost art in the world today. The street side of Savate, the self-defense side, is disappearing. And Professor Buitrón had realized this back in the 1990s, the early 90s. And he had studied with many of the old masters who were still teaching the street-oriented style in France, Jean-Paul Viviani and Robert Patral, Roger Lafond, and some other people. And the art was named Danse de Rue Savate because it was, in the old days, people would say if you wanted to fight, they just said, you want to dance? And so when, if they say, yeah, well, you just got after it. And Professor Buitrón has taken his family style and blended it with chanson and lacan and lute and savate and synthesized this into a really fantastic street-oriented self-defense style of martial arts. It's a real shame that the training that he got in France is not available to anyone, even in France today. Many of the professors who were teaching the street-oriented arts are no longer teaching. They've all retired. The art is just a shadow of what it was. There are a couple professors who are still active in teaching people, but for the most part, the old style, the street-oriented art is disappearing. And it's kind of ironic, but really, really fantastic that art is still alive. And it's here in Texas, in Laredo. To me, it's very ironic, but it's fantastic that at least that art is preserved somewhere in the world today.